Hi, what's up? This isn't the usual content I make, but I've been playing on this L-Tek almost every day for an entire year, and I thought I should do a review of it 1 year in, just to let people know how it's holding up, all the things I've learned, and whether or not they should buy one. Um, so I'm going to go over a lot of things, hopefully pretty quickly, so people don't have to spend a lot of time watching. But Um, we'll go over pros, cons, modding the L-Tek, and then a bunch of little extra information um, that I thought of. So the first bit is going to be about options when buying the L-Tek. Well, the first bit actually is I think the L-Tek's incredible. I think if you are considering buying one, you probably should as long as you have the money. Um, because it makes doing dance games at home incredibly easy and fun. And like I said, I've used it almost every single day for an entire year, and I've only had it for a year. Um, yeah. So anyway, first bit, some like ancillary information. The cost of this thing. I have the original model, um, which when I bought it, I think cost around $300. That was including shipping. Um, but now there's a couple models and a couple options to buy. The original model now costs 230-ish dollars USD, and that's not including shipping, so it's probably going to run about $250. And there's another newer model that we'll cover in a little more detail later that has improved performance. It costs about $250 USD, so it's probably going to end up costing like 280-ish dollars after shipping because the company is in Poland, I believe. Um, and as far as I know, most people that are watching this are going to be in America. Um, One other thing that drives up the price a little bit, but I would 100% recommend doing if you're going to get it, if you're going to get the L-Tek, is 24-hour shipping. If that's an option available when you're ordering, 100% do it. I got my pad within 2 days from placing the order, and that's insanely fast. And I did not regret it because I knew other people that ordered without that, and they were waiting like a month or more to get it. I would have been losing my mind if I had had to wait another month and play on a uh, plastic pad from 18 years ago. So 24-hour shipping, 100% worth it. Um, and the cost is relatively good for dance pads, especially if you're looking at cost of other pads. Like the only other thing really comparable, and by comparable I mean quality wise, is the SMX pads that come out for Stepmania X, and those are expensive. So um, if you're looking for an actually affordable option, this is the way to go for quality. Uh, One other thing about the um, website, L-Tek website, and ordering and um, options that you have available to you that I've heard discussed. They L-Tek, the company, does sell a bar, and I would recommend not buying the bar. I don't know if they've made updates to it structural wise to make it better, but um, all the advice that I got when I was ordering this pad a year ago was stay away from the bar. It's not very good. And it adds a ton of money to the cost. The bar itself is going to like almost double the price of the pad. So I would recommend not doing it. I use a chair. It's right here. It's a big steel chair that I put a cushion on that I then put weights on top of to hold down, and I use a towel, and that has worked incredibly well. Like I mentioned, there is now 2 options for the pad on the website. One of them is the original pad, which is what I have, and then another is an updated version that has a different circuit board in it. So this pad pulls at 125 Hertz. The new version pulls at 1000 Hertz. And that 1000 Hertz is what like official pads pull at. The SMX pad and the DDR arcade pads pull at 1000 Hertz. So if you're looking to go that route, that's the $250 option instead of the $231. I have no experience with that version, but I would probably recommend that one at this point. You'll get better timing with the better pulling rate, and I know timing's important. Talk about the sensors in a little bit, but okay, so the pros of this pad, it's very cheap. 200, well, comparatively, right? If you're into this game, it's very cheap. 230 bucks or 250 bucks, anything less than $300 is, for this quality, is pretty incredible. Like I said, I've played on it for an entire year. I've had almost no problems with it, and it's incredibly durable. It's lasted, I play every single day almost, for several hours at a time, and none of the arrows have cracked. Nothing has really broken or needed maintenance at all, basically. It's super high quality. It's very durable, and it holds up really well. And it's, like I said, a lot cheaper than basically any other option that is good enough to warrant playing on. Like, you can obviously get a foam pad for $50 or something, but that's not going to give you the ability to do higher level content and songs. Another pro of it is that it's incredible out of the box. When I was considering what to do, what kind of pad I wanted to get or buy, a lot of people were like, get it but mod it, do this, do that, open it up right away, change it, all this kind of stuff. And you absolutely 100% don't need to do any of that. It's great right out of the box. You can play on it and do almost anything you want. No problem. The only thing that I have found a reason to mod the pad for is brackets, and that's because of the way that the sensors and arrows work, and I'll open up an arrow later and show that, but because of the way the pad is built and constructed, doing a bracket is pretty difficult unless you do a mod to it, and I've got what I use for the mod over here, and I'll like I said, I'll open up an arrow and show how to do that in a bit. The other big pro, I think, is it's portable. This pad is super lightweight, and it's not that big. It's about 3 foot by 3 foot. I could actually measure that right now. Yeah, it's a little over, no, not even 3 foot. Yeah. It's a little less than 3 by 3. And it's also pretty light. I don't remember the exact weight of it, but you can pick this up, put it in a car trunk, and move it around, bring it places, no problem. And storage is super simple because it's like an inch thick, not even, maybe, yeah, like an inch thick. You can lean it up against a wall, that kind of thing. Um, let's move on to a couple cons about this. And these are really minor cons, honestly. Just things that I've found frustrating and worthwhile to mention. The port for the USB on the pad, this right here, this sucks. um, I like the placement of it sucks. That's what is bad about it. I step on this thing constantly, um, and that's caused a little bit of problems. I imagine if I keep doing it, it's going to cause some connectivity issues, and I might have to like actually fix the pad at some point. What I would recommend is that when you first get the pad, just rotate it, turn it, have this be on the side, and then remap the arrows in Stepmania, and just don't deal with it, because when I'm stepping off the pad, I'm stepping forward to get to my computer to, you know, click around to get to the next song, and that's where my foot's always going onto this thing and causing it to disconnect. So if it's on the side, if you turn the pad so that this is on the side and then you remap the arrows, you probably won't run into that, but I would highly recommend doing that because it's just not a good placement for this thing. Next con, center panel definitely comes loose all the time. I'll be playing and I'll notice that the center panel is starting to jiggle and wobble and move around. And it's annoying. All you got to do is screw it down, you know, make sure it's aligned in its proper place, screw it down. And that fixes it. You can also glue it down. I haven't done that yet, but that's probably worthwhile. I would recommend, like, if you use Gorilla Glue, put something really heavy so that when the glue is drying, it doesn't push up and cause weird problems with hitting the arrows because of the different level that they would be at if this was pushed up. But I definitely recommend gluing the center panel down. And then the last thing, this is specifically for my setup, and other people might not find an issue with this, but I play on carpet, and the pad does like to slide around. It, especially on harder songs. When I'm doing 12s or 13s or doing streams in songs, the pad will start to slide forward and slide forward. I will, on some hard songs that I'm like really pushing to beat, the pad might end up 8 to 9 inches forward from where it started when I started the song. So that's a little frustrating and challenging, and I've gotten used to dealing with it. But again, that's a pretty simple solution. There's guides out there on how to build a stand for the L-Tek, on how to build a bar for the L-Tek, and I'll include those in the description for the video. But those would solve this issue. And if you're playing on a different surface, like if you're playing in a garage on concrete or something, the pad's probably not going to slide around like that. So, like I said, all of the cons that I have are so minor, and they also have solutions that they're really negligible. Like I was thinking and trying to come up with an actual con, like an actual reason you might not want to go with an L-Tek, and I just couldn't. Like, it's incredibly good. The last thing for the video is modding the pad, and I do want to talk about that. I'll include a couple links for this stuff too, and I'll, like I said, I'll open up Arrow and show that. But there's a couple mods that people do. Um, there's the penny mod, there's a polling mod, and then there's a Fsr mod for sensors. And what they're for, the penny mod helps with connectivity between the sensors. And let's just open up an Arrow now. When you open them up, you just unscrew all four screws, and you can pull the plate right off. And then when you screw it back down, you just tighten the screws all the way. If you are putting a penny mod in there, you'll probably want to tighten the center ones all the way down and then loosen them slightly. You'll adjust the center screws slightly to make sure your arrow is not misfiring. But so here's the inside of an arrow. And let's talk about the penny mod, I guess. So this mod, usually people take a penny, you know. My arrows have a short copper strip that is got some electrical tape and is a little longer than a penny and the same thickness as a penny. But people will take that, and as you can see, the sensors here they have this foam square, and then there are two metal plates, one on top of the other, and when you step on the arrow, it just connects those two metal plates and sends a signal through the wire over here to the circuit board, and that's what triggers everything to happen. So all the penny mod is doing is increasing conductivity with this copper and making it easier to hit the arrows. And the only reason, so I've heard a lot of people say absolutely do this like right away. But the only reason I've found to do this mod at all is for brackets, like I was saying earlier. And that's because if we look here and here, there's a big hunk of wood right here, and it's the same on on all of the arrows. And when you're trying to hit a bracket, you're hitting right over top of this, so you're stepping on both of these hunks of wood, and the arrow's just not going to depress very easily compared to hitting it in the center here, or hitting it like actually on top of the arrow. So compared to hitting it here or here if you're playing pretty wide. So what I have found the penny mod to be useful for is, and this is really simple to do, you only have to take off the arrow, get your penny or copper ready like this, and then slide it in right between the plates, tape it down, and you're good to go. You can put the arrow back on and screw these down and get them loose or ready to go. And that really helps with brackets. I found that having the up and down arrows modded like that is enough to be able to do brackets, and then all the other tech is possible even without the penny mod. Foot switches, those are fine. Side switches are fine. It's really just brackets, and it's really just having it in the up and down arrow is enough. These left and right arrows are completely unmodded for me. So that's that mod. The next mod to talk about is the 1000 Hertz polling mod. Like I said, if you go with the new model, you don't have to do this at all. It's already included in the circuit board. If you do want to go with the old model because it's cheaper, there's a good guide by Starlight Lumi, which I will link below, that tells you exactly how to do this. You do have to have some soldering skills, and you do have to be willing to spend a little extra money to get an Arduino and do some coding on that. And then you will essentially just take out the circuit board, replace it with the new one, and wire up and solder up the arrows to go to that. And then your pad will pull at 1,000 hertz instead of 125. And that just gives you a lot better response to the timing that you want to hit. I have not done that mod myself, but I would recommend doing it if timing is important to you. And now, with the new model of L-Tek, I would probably just recommend buying that so you don't have to bother. The last mod that I want to talk about, and the last thing I want to talk about, is an Fsr mod for sensitive resistors. And that is something you can do, and is quite different from what we have going on in here, because these are two metal plates that are conductive to each other when you step on them. A force sensitive resistor is more like a pressure resistance thing, where when you step on it, it can actually measure the pressure that you're applying, and that gives you a lot better sensitivity and control over things. It is technically a better way to do this kind of sensor. And I've seen kits on Facebook to be able to mod for that. I've also seen code for it. You can, what I think you can do, if you want to go that route, I think you only need 4 FSRs, and then I think it will take a little bit more work than normal, but I actually think that you can do an FSR mod on this pad without really altering the pad from its base functionality in any way. So what I think you could do is put an FSR on top of this foam panel towards the inside on each of the arrows, and then wire it through the same slots that are already cut into the board here. And if you really wanted, I think you could do that and then cut in a new space under here for a new circuit board, and then have 2 ports, one for the original sensors and one for the FSRs. And that in that way you can use the pad in both modes without like having to worry if the FSRs don't work for some reason, or you wanted to switch back. You would be able to without any difficulty. That one's a lot more work to do, so I don't know if I would recommend it, although it would improve the pad. It's just the most skilled intensive mod that I can think of. So overall, in review, there's a couple mods you can do to the pad to improve it, but it's great out of the box. The cons are incredibly minor and entirely fixable, and the pros of having it are absolutely amazing. I use it every single day. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm super happy that I get to play dance games, and I didn't even have to spend a lot to do it. So that went a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm glad I did it. So thank you all for hanging out and listening to me talk for almost half an hour. And hopefully this was super valuable and useful to hear. So I'll be back to my regular content. Like I said, this was pretty special content, and everybody have a good time. Hope to see you on the stream or in any of my videos coming up.